Hi guys, I'm so glad you found this video because today I'm gonna share with you 5 tips to learn Japanese effectively. Coming up. Hi, my name is Ryoji. I have a YouTube channel called Japanese by Chunking and I'm teaching here on YouTube, and also I have an Instagram account which is, the link is right here if you'd like to check it out. So, I was born and raised in Japan, and like anyone else, I studied English for over 6 years in Japanese school system, but I wasn't able to speak English very well. Do you know why? Because they're teaching English the wrong way. After moving to the US, I learned English very quickly. And after that, I challenged myself. I wanted to learn another language, so I picked Spanish. And I learned Spanish in about 2 years or so by watching Spanish soap operas called telenovelas. And that was all it took. After that, I wanted to challenge myself again. So I learned Korean. And because I love Korean food and I like to speak to people in the restaurant in Korean whenever I go eat Korean food. And now I'm learning German, because now I have a German family. So when you learn a language, you have to be motivated, you have to have a goal. Why do you want to learn a language? You have to have a clear goal. Otherwise, people sometimes give up because learning a language is a challenge. I don't say it's difficult, but it's challenging. And if you don't have a clear goal as to what you'd like to achieve when you study a language, sometimes you fail. So, I want you to set your goal today and follow my 5 steps. Tip number 1. When you start learning Japanese, I recommend you learn Hiragana and Katakana. And it's not a must, but it will help, because a lot of the materials, textbooks, they're written in Hiragana and some Katakana. But know that this is only for you to be able to read textbooks and not for you to learn from writing systems. Because language writing system is created from spoken language, writing system is there for the communication purposes and to leave some information. And you can't learn a language from the writing system. And everyone asks, kanji. Kanji, kanji, kanji. I don't like kanji myself because it's very difficult. In Japan, we start learning kanji when we were very small, and we learn kanji for upwards of 9 to 12 years. For you to learn kanji, that Japanese people do it in 10-12 years is a big challenge. So don't stress yourself. Kanji, you can learn it as you encounter. Don't try to memorize as many kanji as you can, because you're not going to be able to use them. Because memorizing all those kanjis is not going to help you speak Japanese. Tip number 2. Learn the basic grammar. So what I want you to do is just to get familiar with Japanese grammar structure. You don't need to learn all the grammar rules, but just the basics. Learn the basic pronouns, high frequency words, everyday verbs, adjectives, adverbs. That's all you need to start. And then the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why, and another one, how. In Japanese, dare, nani, itsu, doko, naze, do. So knowing these words, you can start asking questions. So I'm sure you've seen small kids, when they start learning, they ask so many questions. Why is this? Why is that? How do I do this? So they're asking questions to get more information, and they are figuring things out. That's how a language should be learned. Because you already speak one language, the only thing you need to know is figure out how Japanese is structured. And you start asking questions. Now, how do you ask a question? Memorize this phrase. 日本語でこれを何と言いますか? How do I say this in Japanese? これはどういう意味ですか? What does this mean? Okay, so start asking many questions. Tip number 3. Listen and repeat. Listen and repeat. Listening is very important when you learn a language. So when you listen, memorize the sound, memorize the rhythm of the language. Japanese is a pitch accent language. It's not a tonal language. So for some people, it may sound very difficult. But if you can hear it, you can say it. So try to listen to Japanese sound as much as you can and repeat what you hear. It's called shadowing. So whatever you hear, just start repeating it. And when you repeat, it doesn't have to make sense. Just memorize the sound and repeat. And continue to do that when you have time, because they all come together later in your study. And listen to native Japanese speakers' conversations, because you hear a lot of the same words. They're called high-frequency words. So learning high-frequency words are very important when you want to learn a language. When we start studying a language, we typically buy a book and a dictionary, and we start memorizing so many words. So those words, you may never use it in your life. So why are you wasting your brain space and the time memorizing all those words that you would never use? When I study a language, I usually watch a lot of talk shows, TV dramas, where you can see human interactions and real conversations. And also, a lot of Japanese textbooks, it does not show the accents and how the word should be pronounced. So you're gonna have to listen very carefully, and you have to memorize how the word should be pronounced. We have a lot of words that are written the same way, but they're pronounced differently to convey different meanings. Tip number 4. Learn the grammar from the language, not the other way around. Okay, so the biggest misconception is that when you learn a language, you feel like you need to know so many words and all the grammar rules, but that is not correct. If you want to start speaking, you should learn high-frequency words and basic grammar, and start asking questions when you have a conversation with native Japanese speakers. Tip number 5. Let's say if you're learning to swim for the first time, what would you do? Do you go buy books and read up on how to swim? No, right? If you want to swim, just put swimsuits on and get into the water and you just start swimming, right? So language is the same way. You just have to start speaking. So all those studies you're doing, learning grammar, learning words, and those are important too, but that's not going to get you start speaking, because speaking is a separate skill. So in order for you to speak, you have to start practicing speaking. And these days, there's so many different apps that you can connect with native speakers, and find those apps and find a friend that matches your interest. Find a native Japanese speaker who are studying your mother tongue and connect with them, start speaking. I know it's going to be awkward in the beginning because that person's learning your language and you're learning Japanese, so the conversation will be very awkward. But in time, you're going to get a hang of it, and you're going to start speaking, and you're going to start asking questions. And be patient with yourself and be patient with your friend who you're speaking to. Language is alive. Language can only be learned from listening and speaking, not from textbooks. Okay, so these were my 5 tips to learn Japanese effectively. Remember, everyone's learning style is different. Some are visual, some are auditory, some are tactile. Find the best way for you to learn Japanese, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the better you get. I still make mistakes when I speak English, but language is all about communication, so you don't have to be perfect. You use the language to communicate with other people. So let's start speaking 5 minutes a day, every day, That's all it takes. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will be making lots and lots of fun videos for you to learn Japanese. それじゃあまた